It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha! Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brouhaha. Marshall Wood and Dale McKee with you tonight. And thankful to be here, and thankful you are too. Dale, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Man, this football thing is getting kind of crazy, but there's lots of other things going on too in the world of sports. So the big one would be the World Series going on.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, I can tell you about it. I know who's in it. I tell you too. There's always. We got a little ancillary thing going on. We got the Phillies and the Astros going at it pretty good, and I guess those were the folks that everybody kind of thought would be there anyway, aren't they?
Well, not really.
Not really?
Everybody thought it was going to be the Dodgers and maybe the Astros or the Dodgers and the Yankees. You know, Dodgers won, I don't know, record number of games out there. So Atlanta, you know, they were. I think the Phillies were the. You know, they picked 5 teams or 6 teams, and the Phillies were the last team that got in on the radar. So, but the Astros have been pretty good all year in the American League. Them and the Yankees probably had the biggest run, but the Astros swept the Yankees. So, you know, I think the Astros certainly belong there. And you know, the Phillies are just on one of those deals like Ole Miss was in college baseball.
Yeah,
probably the last
in,
and maybe end up winning it.
If it works out for them like it did at Ole Miss, they'll win it, won't they?
Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you what, you know, there's a guy we always mention him when the Astros come up. Mattress Mac. I mean, I think you mentioned him in a show a couple of weeks ago, maybe, but the guy from Houston, he has. Invested about $3.35 million back in June of 2021 that the Astros would win last year's World Series, and it seems like he's up to it again. I think he stands to win $35 million if the Astros win it. Now that'd be a pretty good chunk of money to have in your pocket, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
$35 million?
It would.
Could you spend that down?
I don't know if I could spend it. how much can you spend at Dollar General?
Yeah. Well, they got a lot of stuff in there. You just back your truck up.
Yeah.
But you know, one way he does it is he's got a kind of like a hedge. He sells certain kinds of mattresses that cost like $3,000 a piece, and If he makes a deal with them, if they buy them, if the Astros win, he gives them the money back. So, you know, he can hedge a little bit. So, old Mattress Mac, he's got a pretty good plan.
Well, you know, the first bet he ever made was probably, 4 or 5 years ago. He drove all the way to Biloxi and Gulfport and made a bet down there at the casino. Yeah. And I don't know if he won that bet or not. I mean, he might have. That might have been the year the Astros won it, and they were accused of, you know, some underhanded stuff. And
people don't do that.
Yeah, everybody got mad at him. But what sports team doesn't do that?
That's right. On that happy thought, let's turn our attention to our guest tonight. Who you got lined up for us tonight there, Dale?
We have the Delta State football coach, Todd Cooley. And we're interviewing Coach Cooley. He's an Arkansas native. He has got the Statesman at 9-0.
9-0.
And you know what is so neat about that? They got, you know, Jackson State had game day come for their thing. And there was a sign up there. Choctaws eat okra. And those guys were stumped, man. Okra. Beat that okra. Beat it.
Yeah. Well, we know what that means. You want to tell everybody, man?
Well, that's one of their nicknames up there.
Fighting Okra.
The Fighting Okra of the Delta State Statesmen, or the Fighting Okra.
Well, I tell you what, let's, without further ado, let's take a break, and we'll be back with our guest tonight right after this word from our sponsors. See you in a minute.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Coach Cooley, Todd Cooley from Delta State. Congratulations, Coach. You got to ring that bell last night, and so tell us about that game against Mississippi College.
It was a dandy. You know, it's always a close one when we play them. It's a rivalry game. You know, we were lucky to get out of there. I thought they played really hard, really well, but you know, we were able to run the ball for 425. 430 yards, and I think that was the difference. And, you know, I'll tell you, I just think we got a tough football team. And, you know, we were down 7 late in the third quarter, and we were able to score the next 21 points of the game and finish it. And I'm just really proud of what we've been able to do. You know, we've had 9 football games so far. We've been able to win all 9 of them and won 7 of them on the road, which I don't think there's another team in college football that's done that. I've never had a team that's done that, so you know, it's been a rough schedule, but our players have handled it pretty well. So we're excited about getting home now, finally, for a couple of weeks.
Well, Coach, everybody knows that you've got a very explosive offense. I think you've only most of the time you score in the 20s in 7 of your 9 games. Of course, I think Mississippi Valley and maybe West Alabama held you in the 20s. But tell us about your team on offense. You know, like who are some of your players that are really having kind of like all-star years for you?
Well, I think it all starts with the quarterback, Patrick Shegog from Batesville, Mississippi, who's a redshirt junior for us. He's just had a really good year. He's our leading rusher. He's thrown for a lot of yards, thrown a lot of touchdowns. He's cut down on his turnovers. We have 4 really good running backs that we platoon them. So, you know, Corey Gainwell, his brother Kenneth plays for the Eagles. Corey's a good player. KJ Smith from Columbus, Mississippi, out of Mississippi Delta. He's a really good player. They both are sophomores. We got Christian Malloy, who is a transfer from Coastal Carolina, who's a junior. And then we got a young man named Alfonso Franklin, who's also a sophomore. So we got 4 really good running backs. They're very unselfish. And I say, you know, everybody asks me what's the difference in this year and last year. We just got an unselfish football team. We don't care if we have to run it like Saturday night, we had to run it a lot. We've had games where we've thrown it. We've been pretty balanced. I think our offensive line is extremely underrated. I think they do a great job. And then we've got some guys on the outside at receiver. We've just got a lot of depth at the skill positions right now, and we don't have a lot of depth up front, but luckily, knock on wood, we've stayed pretty healthy up front, and the 5 that we put out there can most definitely play football. But I think, you know, it always got to go back and start with your quarterback play, and I think he's done a really good job, and I'm really happy for him because Patrick's been through a lot here, and to have him, you know, finally lead us to a championship, because we clinched a share of our league championship Saturday night, is a really big accomplishment for him, and I'm really proud of him, and because I know what all he's been through here, you know.
Well, that sounds great. Well, listen, for us that have not seen your offense, what would you compare your offense to? Is it a high tempo where you put the quarterback in the shotgun and you have an offense like a Mike Leach or a Lane Kiffin, or what kind of really offense do you run?
I would say we're much more like Ole Miss. We're up tempo. You know, Coach Leach does a great job in what they do with the air raid stuff, and they run 4 or 5 concepts, and they know how to run them versus anything. We're more probably like Coach Kiffin and those guys at Ole Miss. You know, we play out of 11 personnel, you know, with one back, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers. We get in a lot of formations. We motion a little bit. We don't change personnels. We go extremely fast, and that's what, you know, we do. We are in the shotgun every snap. You know, that's what we've always done. We chase the ball. We spend a lot of time chasing the ball, much like you coach defense to chase the ball. We try to chase the ball with our offensive line, our receivers. We're trying to get the ball back to the umpire and just keep going. And we're going to take shots down the field. That's what we do. I mean, we believe in big plays here. I think that was a big thing that Mississippi College did a good job of last night. They did not let us hit the big plays down the field that we're used to hitting. So we had to do it in the run game, and that's what we did. But, that's us offensively.
Well, Coach, tell us about, you discussed a while ago, you were ranked number 8 in the latest poll. And when do the polls come out, on Monday or Tuesday in your division?
They come out Mondays.
Mondays.
They come out on Monday.
All right, so we'll know better as we're taping this show on Sunday. You're part of the show. But anyway, tell us about the playoffs. How many teams do they have in your division playoff, in the Division II playoffs?
They have 28. You have 4 regions, okay? And our first regional poll come out tomorrow on Halloween. Monday.
That's scary, isn't it, Coach? That's scary.
Yeah. And, you got to be in the top 7 of your regional poll. Being ranked 8th in the country that's nice, and that's good, and it's good for your program, and I believe we're deserving of that. But the regional poll is what matters. And what people need to understand is we're the only region in Division II that has 4 conferences within our super region. So to get in to be top 7 in those 4 conferences is really, really difficult, especially in our league where everybody usually beats up on. They call our Gulf South Conference is known in college football as the little SEC. I mean, that's what everybody refers to it as. It's the toughest conference in Division II football. And a lot of times we knock one another out, where it's hard to get in those playoffs. So we're anxious to see where we sit in the regional rankings. We feel we should be, 1 or 2. But we got to finish in the top 7, and there's still 2 more weeks of football left, and there's still a lot of wood to be chopped. So we're just kind of hanging in there, and you take 28 teams, 4 regions. The top seed in each region gets a bye. You've got to win your region to get out. So there's a good chance that if we do get in, we'll end up playing another Gulf South team or 2 in the playoffs. That's usually the way it works. So that's what makes it so tough. But a Gulf South team has either won the national championship or played for the national championship. I think going back to 16. So,
impressive.
And in 2017 we got beat, and I watched the national championship game of 2 teams playing, and our record against those 2 teams at the time was 3-2 in my time here at Dub State. So we've been close before, and we've been right there. It's just hard to get out of our region and hard to keep doing this because it's such a tough division. I mean, you're starting to see a little bit of that in the college football playoffs because usually you're now starting to see Georgia's having to play Alabama again, and play them in the SEC championship, and then have to turn around and play them again for national championship. So we've been seeing this forever in our level. So it's tough, no doubt about it.
Coach, this is Marshall. I may be off in my numbers. I want to talk about your roster a little bit in recruiting and how you go about that. If I'm not mistaken, there's somewhere 28, 29 Mississippi players on your roster. And there's a pretty good geographical representation, it looks to me like, across your roster. Discuss your recruiting process and for us, if you will.
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked that, Marshall. We've got such a unique state in the fact that we've got 14 junior colleges. And I understand and I get it. I grew up in Arkansas, and, everybody grows up in Arkansas pretty much as a Razorback fan. Well, in the state of Mississippi, You know, a lot of people are either going to be Ole Miss fans or State fans, and then you got a lot of Southern Miss fans as well. So you get young men that grow up and they want to play in one of those three spots, and I get that. You know, that's big-time college football, and everybody's got dreams. So what ends up happening is you get a lot of good players that come out of high school, and they're going to go to junior college because they want to try to keep that hope of going to Ole Miss alive or go to Mississippi State or Southern Miss, whatever it may be. So it's very rare when you get a really good player in the state of Mississippi. You know, our quarterback is kind of like a unicorn here because he's a really good player. He was committed to Tulane his senior year and got dropped, and he did not want to go junior college. So we were able to go in and recruit him, and we were able to get Patrick. You know, but if you look at my roster, we've got a lot of guys that are from Mississippi junior colleges, and we embrace that. We love that.
Yeah.
You know, we go to a junior college game every Thursday night. We're going to go recruit them hard. We recruit them, try to recruit them, get them to camp out of high school. They tell us they want to go to junior college. That's fine with us. Hey, we're going to keep recruiting you. We're going to keep loving you up. We're going to try to get you 2 years from now. And I think there's a stat, and I'll probably be a little off of these numbers, but at one point we had 39 since I've been here, and this is like 3 or 4 years ago. I've been here a while now, but we had 39 All-Gulf South Conference players, and 33 of them were from Mississippi junior colleges.
There you go.
What we've always said was if we can get the best players from the Mississippi Junior College League to come to Delta State, we've got a chance to do really good things here. And if you go back to our good teams, when I first got here in 14, I think I want to say 14 starters, and that were from Mississippi JUCOs on both sides of the ball. And 9 of those guys made all conference.
Yeah.
And right now we've got we signed a good group of Mississippi junior college kids, and they all decided to come play together, and you're seeing them do some really good things on the field. Defensively, most of our defense is made up of those guys, and they're good players, they're good kids, they're tough. They played college football before they got here, which helps a little bit.
Yes, sir.
But they just bought in. And I think the big thing that we do is we try to get them in December, you know, so that they can enroll in January. And if they can enroll in January after their sophomore season, then we feel like we've got a spring and a summer to acclimate them to our culture and how we do things here and the difference between what they've done and the numbers and things like that. Because what most people don't understand is a junior college roster, I think, is 60 guys. Well, I mean, we're going to bring in 110 to camp up here. So there's just more guys, more competition, more depth. And that's just, you know, it's college football. It's the way it's supposed to be.
You know, I love it when these kids get to go in, you know, early enrollees, I think is the term I read a lot. Do you find, it seems like to me, and you can correct me, I'm sure if I'm wrong, it might be easier to get a JUCO guy in early than a high school kid, do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of times it is for us, you know. These junior college coaches and these guys are doing a really good job. Of course, now the whole state of Mississippi has so much dual enrollment. A lot of these guys are graduating high school with a lot of hours already in college. Mm-hmm. So these guys are getting their associate's degrees, you know, within 3 semesters, you know, because they'll go to summer school. They'll already come in with, say, 12 hours. Then they'll go to summer school before they ever play as a freshman, say, at Jones or wherever. And they'll get another 15, you know, they'll get another 12. And then, you know, by the time they get out, they play their sophomore season, you know, they're ready to graduate and go somewhere.
Yes.
And that's perfect for us because we can get them in there then. They go through spring ball, and they're going to end up graduating from us early as well, which is really good, which is also the reason why we probably have such high graduation rates here too. I mean, I've had 175 players in my program that have graduated since I've been here.
Wow, that's great.
And we're going to graduate another 12 this December and probably another 8 in the spring, so that's another 20 off of this team. So I'm really excited about how we do that and how we get these guys from. I'm just telling you, man, it just means more. you know, these young men, whether they play at Kahoma, whether they play at Colin Jones, Pearl River, they know what our logo means, you know, because they're from this state.
Yes, sir.
And I think you got to win. You got to win within your state first, and we got a great football state. And I don't know, we've got a lot of young men from the state of Mississippi that are playing really, really well for us right now.
Obviously, your recruiting format's working like a charm. We salute you on that. One more question. I'm going to back out here and let Dale hit you again. But the transfer portal, did I? It seems like I might have noticed a couple on the roster. Do you utilize the transfer portal with some of the 4-year schools, maybe?
Yes, sir. We do. We do. I tell you what, it's. I think you have to. But at the same time, I think you got to be really, really careful. We were lucky. We got a receiver, really good kid from the University of Iowa. We got a receiver from Southern Miss. We got a running back from Coastal Carolina. We got a receiver from Presbyterian. All great kids, really good players. But I think at times, you know, it can get overwhelming, and that there's just so many kids that go in there thinking that they're going to get to go wherever,
yes,
you know, and they get lost in that thing. So we try to do our homework on those guys. Why did they leave? You know, was it call the coaches where they left from and try to talk to them about them? And I still think it's a bad deal for college football. I think it's I think it and NIL are not good for our game, but it's the way we're going, and you got to deal with it. But I would still, at the end of the day, I like seeing a kid play in person. I like being able to watch him in a regular game or watching practice. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, you know, a kid in the transfer portal, you don't get that opportunity, you know, and you just got to be careful. And you got to really do your research, you know, because there's always a reason somebody's leaving. And
yes, sir.
You got to be careful. You know?
Yes,
sir. Coach, this is Dale again. Who is some of your competition for these junior college and the people that you recruit? I mean, is it a vast number? Is everybody coming in trying to pick the best?
Yeah. We would compete. What we normally run into is we run into FCS schools. You know, we run into West Alabama does a good job over here in Mississippi recruiting. Mississippi College does a good job in Mississippi recruiting as far as our level goes. But then like McNeese State, Tennessee Martin, Southeastern Louisiana, Nichols, those are the guys that we're always, seems like we're up against. You know, UCA, Central Arkansas will come in and be on the same kids we're on. You know, so, I mean, at the end of the day, I played Division II football. I've coached it for a long time. I also coached FCS football. You know, I think a lot of misconception is out there is that, you know, well, if you can't play here, you can go play Division II. That's not the case. We don't have Division II players. What I think people think of Division II players. We have Division I players. Maybe they're an inch shorter. Maybe they're, you know, whatever happened. You know, his clock ran out and he can only play Division II. There's always scenarios, but you're always, in this league right here, you better get some really good players that can play at a lot of places, you know, and I think that's a misconception. You know, I want the same players that FCS want. Those are the ones that are going to help us win here. And, you know, you just got to. Now we are. I think we also have to have a better eye at developing players and developing talent. You know, whereas some schools can already take somebody that's ready made. Hey, this guy's a good player, and you know whatever. But we've got to do a little bit better job of you know helping them grow and developing. But you got to find good players to help, especially win in this league. And I think we've got really good players. I think defensively, we've got good size. We've got good length. You know, offensively, you know, we got an offensive tackle that's an NFL guy right now. That every scout in the country is coming through here to see him. You know, he looks like they look on, you know, Sundays. So there's just not as many at our level. but you do have to have them.
Yes.
And you got to try to fight to get those. I mean, West Florida's got that right now. They look like a Division I football team. West Georgia, who we're going to play, looks like a Division I football team. West Alabama, I mean, that's our league. It's just tough. So I think we kind of look that way when we get off the bus, and that's the way you're supposed to look at this level.
Well, Coach, you've got off that bus a lot of times here this year. 7 times, I think. I counted them, 7 out of 9. But the next two games, you actually got them at home. Both of them's on Saturday afternoon. Y'all celebrating homecoming this week, and I assume Senior Day and Military Appreciation the following week. And you're going to play West Alabama. Sum up how you play somebody twice, because looking at your results this year, they probably gave you the toughest battle with a 20-7. You only beat them 20-7. I say you only beat them 20-7. You beat them 2 touchdowns. That's still pretty good in any book. But just tell us how the conference works your schedule.
Well, we only have 8 teams in our league, in our conference. So that's 7 games. And our league is, it's hard for us to find out of conference games because, teams in our region don't normally want to come play us. They don't want to play Valdosta, West Florida, West Georgia. So, you just struggle to find games. I mean, we've been to Michigan to play Grand Valley before. I mean, you just got to find the Division II games. You have to have so many Division II games in order to be playoff eligible. So our conference made a decision back during COVID that we would play an extra game every year. And it's based on the seedings from the previous year. When we finished 5th in the league last year, I think West Alabama finished 4th. And so we were matched up to play them twice this year. The second one will not count as a conference game, but it is an in-region Division II game, which is big. And because they had 4 games at home already within the conference and we only had 3, they had to come back to us. So that's how we do it. We don't like it. They don't like it. It's tough to play somebody twice, but it's what we have to do within our league to make sure that everybody's got enough games to be considered for the postseason. So that's why we're doing it.
Coach, we're out of time for this part of our segment. We want Dale. It flies when you're having fun. We're having fun. Don't know if you are, but you sound like you are. But we sure appreciate you taking your time to be with us. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. We appreciate you. We wish you the best of the rest of the way.
Thank you very much.
Hold on with us, Coach. We're going to sign off here for a minute. We'll be back with you shortly. We're going to take a break to hear from some of our sponsors, and then Dale and I will be back with the final segment of the Brouhaha right after this break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everyone. Man, we sure did enjoy our guest tonight. I tell you what, he's got a real good program. I'm talking to that guy. You can see what goes into a program.
He's just football coach. He's a good one, and he'd be probably successful in any division he's in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We appreciate him being with us. What else we got? We kind of a little short on time here, Dale.
Let's go over the JUCO playoffs for just a second, then we'll get into the polls, major polls. The Jones and Gulf Coast played. Gulf Coast won, so they're going to be the number 1 seed from the South, and they'll host the number 2 team from the Northeast Mississippi. That's this Saturday. And Jones, now at number 2, they're going to have to go play number 2 ranked Northwest.
Hey.
Up in Senatobia. So that'll be about a 6-hour bus drive, or at least 4 hours. So that's got the JUCO playoffs, and then the championship will be the next week. Now, they got the AP poll out. And the AP poll says that Georgia's number 1, and they got Ohio State and Tennessee tied for second. They got Michigan 4th, Clemson 5th, Bama still 6th, TCU, who is undefeated, is 7th, Oregon is 8th, USC's 9th, and Ole Miss is 10th.
They got the Rebels back up in the top 10.
Now the coaches poll has Ole Miss 11th and UCLA 10th. So they're swapped there. But what's interesting, Georgia's undefeated, Ohio State's undefeated, Tennessee's undefeated, Michigan and Clemson's undefeated, TCU is undefeated. So in telling you that, we got 5 teams undefeated, and Tuesday they're going to come out with the college football playoffs, how they rank the teams to decide, the final 4 that they're going to pick, okay? And of course that'll be a weekly thing on each Tuesday. But I was looking down at some of these other teams. We got a bunch of one-loss teams. UCLA 11, Illinois 13th, North Carolina is 15th. We got Liberty at 23. And Liberty's under Hugh Freeze. They've lost 1 game to Wake Forest on the road by 1 point, and they're 7-1.
Maybe that's why they gave him that contract, new contract this past couple of days.
And Southern Miss had them on the ropes. But another one-loss team that I saw in the polls was number 21, Tulane. They've got 1 loss.
And Southern beat them.
Southern Miss
That's
beat
what
them.
I'm talking about, to the top.
Southern Miss almost beat Liberty. So Southern Miss has really competed in the game the other night. It was a great, exciting ball game.
You said we need to be. I'm a Southern Miss guy. You said we need to be in the top 20.
Well, no, at least top 25. No. Mississippi State did get eight votes, but Southern Miss got none. Yeah. But anyway, we got some 2 lost teams that are battling it out now. We got Utah, Kansas State, Penn State. LSU is at I think was 15th in the AP poll and 17th in the coaches poll, or it might have been reversed. Oklahoma State and North Carolina State, they all got 2 losses. Yeah. So, the only one that is in the top 25 that's got 3 losses is Kentucky. And they've lost to Ole Miss and Tennessee. Yeah. And I think they lost pretty good to Tennessee. I'm not sure.
Who else beat Kentucky? I couldn't answer that question. That's why I'm asking you.
I think South Carolina did.
South Carolina did, yeah. Okay.
And South Carolina got beat. Right. And South Carolina got beat this week by Missouri.
Playing that beamer ball over in South Carolina.
John Rice Plumlee, the former Ole Miss quarterback, he's got his team 25th at 6-2. Now he got hurt a little bit Saturday.
Man, that was a vicious lick.
It didn't hit, but his team came back and they upset Cincinnati, and that was Cincinnati's first loss like in 3 years in the conference play.
Cincinnati was in the CFP playoffs last year, or year before last.
I think, well, they played Alabama one year and played Alabama very, very competitive for a long period of time in that game. So, it's college football, it's just like this, I don't see how they really pick. Did Georgia look that good against Florida for 50 of the 60 minutes? They did. Did Ohio State look good at Penn State? Probably not, but they won in a hostile environment. Mm-hmm. Penn State plays a lot better at home than they do on the road. Yeah. But Ohio State proved to me that they've got a pretty good team. Tennessee has answered every question we've asked of them this year. And that was a defining moment beating Kentucky. Because Kentucky, everybody thought was going to be that game that Tennessee overlooked because who they got this week?
Is it Alabama? No. Who is it? Who do they have? Georgia. Oh, my gosh. How could I miss that one?
Okay.
Senility is setting in. But anyway, that ain't all that's setting in. The clock's setting in.
Good.
Dale, we appreciate you, and we appreciate all our listeners out there. And we want to encourage you to follow us during the week on our Facebook page, the Brouhaha, and also on our YouTube channel where all of our interviews are archived there at the Brouhaha. But as for now, it's time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
And we'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Take us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Dale McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.